What could be more exciting than an entire review about animation? Box sets and DVDs all filled with, well, mostly old animation, but some new animation, all of it just about new to DVD. First up, we have G.I. Joe Season 2.0. That is the final season of G.I. Joe, courtesy of Shout Factory, who's been re-releasing the G.I. Joe and Transformers DVDs from the start in chronological order. Now, I have a soft spot in my heart for G.I. Joe Season 2 because it's the season that G.I. Joe really kicked into overdrive for me. It had the rise of Serpentor and the introduction of a number of characters like the Battle Android Troopers, and it expanded on the mythology of the series as a whole. And overall, it's just a lot of fun. Sure, it's a little bit 80s, but overall, as one of these cartoons that has aged somewhat, it actually holds up better than most of them, and I still find it to be rather enjoyable. Of course, Shout Factory is doing a great job in these re-releases, having remastered the pictures so that they look better, presenting them in chronological order, and adding a few new extra features as well. In terms of the extra features, we get a featurette called Green Shirts, The Legacy of G.I. Joe, and that's actually a look at the fandom surrounding G.I. Joe, as well as a collection of the Knowing is Half the Battle PSAs, and my favorite part, the archival Hasbro toy commercials, which I absolutely love because when I was a kid, those were like 30-second movies that I look forward to pretty much every commercial break. So this is a pretty nice box set. It's got a good amount of episodes, and really it's the wrap-up to what was one of the greatest cartoons of the 80s. So if you have the first two box sets that Shout Factory put out for G.I. Joe, I don't see how you can skip on this one. Also from Shout Factory, we have Transformers Seasons 3 and 4, which equals 33 episodes, only about 3 of which were from Season 4. It was sort of a aborted season, if you will. And the Transformers Season 3 is kind of a hit-or-miss type of thing for me, taking place after the Transformers movie, the original animated one back in '86, not the Michael Bay versions. These are all the highly futuristic Transformers that involve lots of space travel and the Quintessons and all of those crazy things, RC and Jetfire and you name it, everybody's there. And while they're a lot of fun, I never had the affinity for the newer Transformers characters as I did for the classic Generation 1 characters. I'll take my Optimus Prime and Prowl and Bumblebee over, RC and Cup and Blur any day of the week. That being said, there's a lot of fun episodes to be found here, including the 5-part miniseries, The 5 Faces of Darkness, which introduced the Quintessons, sort of expanding the universe. But overall, it's not quite as endearing to me as the original Transformers series was. That being said, once again, Shout Factory's done a great job with this box set, remastering the episodes, releasing them in chronological order, and adding some new extra features. This time around, we get another look at the fans called The Autobots, the Decepticons, and the Fans. And as opposed to the G.I. Joe one, this looks at Transformers fandom, which is probably even more rabid than G.I. Joe fandom. You also get the From the Files of Teletran 2 profile feature, some PSAs, and art gallery, and once again, those archival Hasbro toy commercials, which I really do love watching and can't get enough of. So good job with both of those, Shout Factory. Next up, we have Iron Man Armored Adventures, the complete Season 1, which brings us all 26 episodes of the first season of the new Iron Man cartoon, Armored Avenger. And this one actually is reminiscent of the Spider-Man cartoon that aired on MTV back around 2006, in that it's mostly computer-generated artwork, and it's a much hipper, younger-themed show. Not quite so much like the Batman or the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoons which are on TV now, but really kind of trying to appeal to that young teenage market. In this show, Tony Stark is a teenage genius who also moonlights as Iron Man, and it's actually quite a good cartoon. I think there are some times where there's a little too much Tony Stark and his teenage friends and not quite enough of Iron Man, but I will say that the animation in the show is pretty neat, although it takes a little while to get used to the kind of semi-anime style of it all, and the action sequences especially really do stand out. Once he gets into the suit and starts fighting the bad guys, it's a pretty cool show overall, so it's really enjoyable, and it's of course a great time to be out right now, as Iron Man fever has probably never been higher than it is right now with the sequel in theaters. Now you get 26 episodes from Season 1, but the bonus features in this box set are a little bit on the light side. Basically all you get are storyboards and some original concept art sketches. I would have liked to have seen at least one making of, or maybe a look at the voice talent, which is actually pretty good in this show. Next up, we have a couple of releases from Warner Brothers. We have Peanuts, the 1970s Collection Volume 2, and Saturday Morning Cartoons 1980s. Now, The Saturday morning cartoons, I will admit, was something of a culture shock for me. These 1980s cartoons are the ones that I grew up on, and so it was a little painful to go back and watch some of these shows that I used to love so much as a kid. Things like Thundar the Barbarian, Mr. T, Dragon's Lair, even things like The Biscuits, which I remember liking very much when I was a young child. Almost all of them played out rather painfully now. I can't say there was any of these that I watched that really kind of stood up to how I remember them. And of course, that's not really a fair comparison because these are shows that are 20 years old, and trying to watch them with the same eyes I had when I was 5 to 10 years old isn't really fair to the cartoons. But as an adult watching them, aside from the quick nostalgia trip that I got each time I watched the opening credits from one of the shows, my enjoyment rapidly went downhill from there, unfortunately. But you do get 11 shows on 2 discs, including Galtar and the Golden Lance, Quickie Koala, the Ed Grimley Show, and a number of other things. But there's only one bonus feature, and at least it focuses on Thundar the Barbarian, which is probably the best of the shows that are included here. It's called Lords of Light, Thundar the Barbarian, and it kind of takes a look at the show and its origins and how that came about. Next, we have the Peanuts 1970s collection, and this is another excellent collection of Peanuts cartoons. There's already been a 1960s collection and 1970s Volume 1, and this one includes 6 specials. Be My Valentine, Charlie Brown. You're a Good Sport, Charlie Brown. It's Arbor Day, Charlie Brown. What a Nightmare, Charlie Brown. It's Your First Kiss, Charlie Brown, and You're the Greatest, Charlie Brown. Now, all of these have been available on DVD before, except for What a Nightmare, Charlie Brown, which is making its debut on DVD. There's also one new featurette called Your Groovy, Charlie Brown, a look at Peanuts in the 70s. So for you Peanuts fans out there, I know there's a lot of you, I'm one of them, who got tired of buying all the little single episode DVDs that included a special and maybe 1 or 2 extra shorter specials. This 3rd volume in the Peanuts, basically what is their ultimate collection, is definitely the way to go. Next up, we have Aqua Teen Hunger Force Season 7, or Volume 7, I should say. And once again, I try and watch the show, and once again, I can't get into it. I know that people out there love Meatwad and Fry Guy, or whatever his name is, and all that. And for me, I get a couple episodes in, and I just kind of roll my eyes and pretty much want to change the channel. It is neat. This includes the live-action episode, a 12-minute live-action Aqua Teen Hunger Force, which I don't know if I found even more ridiculous or less ridiculous than the animated series, but you do get 11 episodes and a good number of extra features, including a behind-the-scenes making of the live-action episode, behind the scenes of Rubberman, a feature called Dumb Down Your Smartphone, Terraphone 2, The Legend of Rankenstein, and live-action Carl, The Dave Long Story, Shave Your Head, Grow a Mustache, and Gain 80 pounds for a shot at fame. So, some pretty goofy stuff there. Fans of the show will get a lot more out of it than people like me, who basically just continue to stare at my screen blankly and try and figure out why I'm not getting this show that everybody else seems to think is so incredibly funny. Finally, we have the aforementioned Spectacular Spider-Man. This is Volume 8, which includes a whopping 3 episodes of the show. That's episodes 24, 25, and 26 for those of you who are counting. Now, I like this cartoon. I think it's pretty well done. It's kind of plays to that hip, young audience. But I just can't get behind the fact that these DVDs are 3 episodes apiece, especially since they did already release a Season 1, Volume 1. That included 13 episodes. I'm assuming that means they're going to do a Season 1, Volume 2, which will finish out the series with another 13 episodes. For those of you who really have to have these right as they come out, you do get an appearance from the Green Goblin and the Molten Man, but it's 3 episodes. It's just about an hour long. Not a whole lot of bang for your buck there, especially considering the fact that there are no extra features. So there you have it, a pretty wide-ranging collection of animation DVDs, most of which are actually worth watching. So enjoy.